All right, fifth grade. So this lesson is essentially the same thing as our lesson before. However, it's going to be a little bit different with our conversions because it's kind of a little bit backwards. And your teacher should have a conversion chart up on the board to kind of help you to understand how to convert this and get the bigger, and it's not necessarily a bigger measurement, but it's basically changing something from a bigger unit down into a smaller unit, or sometimes it is going to be a bigger number into a smaller number. So here they've already done number one for you, and it says I want to convert the days into weeks. So I have 28 days, so I've separated out like I normally do, 28 and then 1 day. And this is where you guys are a little bit different, is that we have 1/7 of a week is 1 day. So instead, you're essentially going to be dividing this. So now what I'm going to do is, if you guys remember when you guys multiply fractions, it's 28 times 1. And then remember that 28 has like an invisible 1 underneath it. So it's 28 times 1 is 28. And then 1 times 7 is 7. So 28 divided by 7 is going to give you 4 weeks. So 28 days is 4 weeks. So this is just a little bit backwards on how we're going to be able to do this. So here I've got 20 quarts, and first what they want me to do is, we're filling in this blank, is that 20 quarts, I have to separate out my number from my measurement. So then now I can go ahead and continue down here, and they've already done it for me. I know that 1 quart is 1/4 of a gallon because it takes 4 quarts to make that 1 gallon. So then what I can do is, remember, I've got kind of that invisible 1 underneath there. So 20 times 1 is 20, and then 1 times 4 is 4. So 20/4 is what the quarts to gallons is, but 20 divided by 4 is going to be 5. So my answer is 5 gallons. So we're kind of going backwards. We essentially are dividing. So this next one is, I want to convert centimeters into meters. So the first thing I want to do is separate out my number from my measurement. Okay, so I'm going to take my number. And so here, guys, if you were to look up on the chart, it's basically saying if I have 1 centimeter, what do I have to do to get it back into that meter? Well, I know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So in order to convert that back, I am actually going to multiply it by 100th. Or you could actually write it as 100th. Okay, so then what you could do then is you can divide this by 100 or multiply this by 1/10, which your answer is going to give you 9 2/10 of a meter. Okay. So then we're going to come over here to letter D, and they've done the same thing. They've actually kind of helped us out with this. Is I want to separate out my number from my measurement. And look, guys, they already actually gave us that measurement. But remember, I could also write it as 1,000th and use it as that fraction. So I'm going to put 1,578. I want to multiply it by 1,000th. And so when I move my place value, if I were to put this on my chart and then I shift it to the right because I'm moving it over, my answer would be 1 578,000ths of a kilometer. Okay, guys, this will get easy. This is just something more with your math, as you guys just have to remember on how we have multiplied our decimals from Module 1. So it's very important that we bring this stuff that we have from Module 1 back to help us solve this. So we're going to convert the grams to kilograms. So I've got 6,080 grams. I'm going to separate out my number from my label. So now I'm going to go ahead and write my number, and I'm going to replace it now that I want to convert it into kilograms. So you'd have to come over here to your place value chart. And of course, we don't have that on this one, but there is one in the classroom that if you look, that to convert my gram into kilogram, it's going to be 1,000th. Okay, so then if I were to multiply this out, my answer is going to be 6 8/100ths of a kilogram. Okay, because all you're doing is going back to Module 1. You can tell me I'm moving it 3 place values over. moving it 3 place values over, and that's how I have that answer. I can have that 0 there. I don't necessarily need to have it. Okay. This next one is I'm going to convert millimeters into liters. So I'm going to separate out my number from my label. I'm going to do 509 times, and this one I want to convert it into liters. So I need to figure out how many milliliters are in a liter. And guys, if you look here, it actually is on your place value chart that I have 1 liter equals 1,000 milliliters. But if I'm going backwards, I'm actually going to have this as a division problem. So it's actually going to be 1,000th of a liter. Okay, and when you have 1,000th, thousandth, I put too many zeros there. 1,000th is what you would be dividing it by or multiplying it by. And if you guys remember from good old Module 1, liters is going to be my conversion. There is what your conversion is of how much 509 milliliters is in liters.